Awesome. Thanks, Mallory. Hi, everyone. Welcome and thanks for tuning in. My name's Earle and we're from Solitude Liveaboards and Resorts. We are a company that operates 3 liveaboards and 2 resorts out in Asia, in the countries of the Philippines, Palau, and Indonesia. And we'll take a look at the map on the next slide, and you can see all of the areas that we cover. Now, in Indonesia, we have one resort in North Sulawesi in the Lembeh Strait. And we have one liveaboard, Solitude Adventure, that does all of the popular, or most of the popular destinations of Raja Ampat, the Banda Sea, and Komodo, and passes through Alor as well. In Philippines, we have a resort and a liveaboard. The resort is in Anilao in the Anilao, just south of Manila, about an hour and a half by car. And we have a liveaboard, Solitude One, that mainly does Tubataha National Park, which is about 100 miles east of Palawan Island. And then we have a new liveaboard, our newest edition, which is called Solitude Gaia, that operates in Palau, about 500 miles east of the Philippines. So we'll move on to the next slide here. And we have some photos here, just some images. As I was saying, the resort in Anilao called Solitude Acacia Resort. That one is an easy reach from Manila Airport. And also in the Philippines, the boat down in the middle, the liveaboard down in the middle, Solitude One. And then our Indonesian liveaboard is Solitude Adventure to the bottom right. And the Indonesian resort, Solitude Lembeh Resort, situated right on the Lembeh Strait there up in the right top corner. And our Palau liveaboard, Solitude Gaia, down in the bottom right. So we'll move on. And those countries, they're based out in a place called the Coral Triangle. It's an imaginary boundary that encompasses 6 countries, which is the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Timor-Leste, Papua New Guinea, and all the way east as far as the Solomon Islands. Palau is just outside the boundary, although on this slide, this map shows that it's within the boundaries, but it's very close. So on the next slide, we're going to talk about how awesome the Coral Triangle is. This place, the reason it's called the Coral Triangle is because it has more than 3/4 of the world's reef-building coral species just in that small area. There's almost all species of marine turtles that can be found there, 6 out of the 7, and there's more than 6,000 species of fish. So it's just incredibly diverse, full of color, full of life, and there's so many awesome dive sites there. We'll move on to the next slide. And we're going to talk about the Philippines first. And we'll keep going. The Philippines, it's an amazing place. It has white sand beaches, black sand beaches, or black sand dive sites. On the next slide, we'll see that there's all kinds of different dive sites. We have dive sites where you can see the thresher shark in Malapascua, down in Dumaguete and Darwin in the south of the Visayas. You have black sand muck diving that's world famous. Anilao, where our resort is another really famous muck diving destination that has brown sand muck diving and also beautiful coral reef. And you even have World War II shipwrecks in Coron, which is north of Palawan Island. So it's just incredibly diverse. And it's quite easy to reach there from the US. Normally, you can either fly a direct flight from Los Angeles to Manila, or you can connect through Taiwan, through Taipei, or even Tokyo. So it's quite easy to get there. And we'll move on to the next slide, and we'll talk about Solitude One. This is our flagship liveaboard. We started the company with this in 2013. On the next slide, we'll show you some specs of this one. It's about 171 feet long, so it's just a huge ocean-going vessel, 28 feet wide. It has several decks. There's 11 cabins, and it takes 22 guests. There's some staterooms, deluxe rooms, and even a quad cabin, and several of the rooms have options for queen-size beds, king-size beds, and twin sharing bunk beds as well. And just in 2023, we had a renovation and refurbishment of all the shared spaces and the cabins, so it's nice and fresh. And we'll move on to the next slide. And some photos here of the interior of the boat. Up in the top left, you can see the spacious dive deck, and there's outside 6 outside showers in the back. We use purposely built fiberglass speedboats for the skiffs, so the gear stays on the boat, and we just bring down the tank filling whips and we fill the tanks right on the boat, so guests never need to carry their gear. As you can see, the newly refurbished rooms have nice bright colors down in the bottom left, and the dining area is kind of open air, buffet style. You have the ocean breeze, so it's very nice. We'll move on to the next slide. And we're going to talk about Tubataha. So Tubataha is that area in the Philippines that we are operating Solitude 1, our liveaboard, and we're there during the springtime every year. Tubataha is very special. It's a set of 3 reefs. It's UNESCO World Heritage Site. And if we move to the next slide, I'm going to tell you just how special it is. So it's about 100 miles out into the open ocean from Puerto Princesa, which is the capital city of the main city of Palawan Island in the southwest of the Philippines. And this is all wall diving on these set of 3 reefs. So it's very clear water, very warm water. Warm water meaning like 85 degrees or even higher than that. It's like being in a bath water. And it's got moderate to strong currents. So you do lots of drift diving along the walls, and visibility is normally 100-foot plus. So it's very clear, very warm. I mean, what else can you ask for it? It's full of fish. The reef is super healthy. You have huge tornadoes of barracuda out in the blue. You can see up on the top of the reef, there's most of the time big schools of jackfish as well, trevally. And the coral is super healthy. And it's one of the famous places in the world where you can see whale sharks, if you're lucky, in the wild. So they're not being fed there. They just might be passing by on the wall as you're drifting by. So it's incredible. And we're only there during the springtime, March, the end of March, and really April, May, and June, and a little bit into July, just because that's the calm time of the year during the shoulder season, when the winds are changing from the north, where they come from during the winter, during kind of November until March, and then in the spring, in the summertime, around June, they start coming from the south. So in between those periods, the wind kind of dies down, and we have some calm seas out there. So we'll move on to the next slide. So hopefully you guys will come and witness Tubataha. It's an amazing place. So we're gonna go to our resort in the Philippines next. It's Anilao, and it's about an hour and a half south of Manila, so painless to get there. You fly into Manila, we pick you up, we bring you down to the resort. It's right on the ocean there, as you can see, and it's facing west. So you get just an amazing sunset almost every night. There's a restaurant there that's encased in glass. So if we move to the next slide, there's some information, and then we'll get to some photos. So it's not a very big resort. It's nice and cozy, 25 rooms. We have sea view suites, sea view deluxe rooms, and just standard deluxe rooms with garden view. And they're offering full board and dive and non-dive packages. So the restaurant itself is like, we offer full board and it's a la carte. So you get menu and you order off the menu. It's amazing food, amazing desserts as well. I was lucky enough to live there for a year, a couple of years ago, and I was spoiled. So we'll go to the next slide, and we can see some photos, some images. So up on the top left, you can see that that's the main building. Up on the top there is the restaurant that's encased in glass. From the inside view on the top right here, you can see that beautiful restaurant with all those plants hanging down. And from inside the restaurant, you can see the swimming pool, the ocean. It's really, really nice. And of course, you get that sunset there on the bottom right. That's just from one of the deluxe rooms, not even one of the sea view suites. And even from the deluxe, you still can see the ocean from there. So very nice. We'll move to the next slide. And more images. So you can see the inside of the rooms there. They're nice, calm colors. The top right is a view from one of the sea view deluxe rooms. So very nice views there. And the bottom right, the bottom left is the bar. So we have cocktails there, and you watch the sunset. It's just really, really an amazing experience. And we'll move on. And hopefully I'm not talking too much. We have so much to go through, guys. And I hope you enjoy the sound of my voice, because I'm going to be talking a lot. But the diving here in Philippines, it was originally and still is called the nudibranch capital of the world. So there's so many nudibranchs there, so many different species. The coral reefs are packed full of multicolored coral, soft corals, hard corals, and so many small, beautiful fish. Anilao is not really famous for big things, but it's famous for beautiful coral reefs, lots of reef fish, and of course, we have muck diving as well. So normally we go out, we do like some reef diving in the morning, 2 dives, we come back and have lunch, and we do a muck dive in the afternoon for photo enthusiasts, and our guides really can show you all the awesome things. And we do offer blackwater diving there as well. So you have the chance, if you're interested in that, to check that out as well. We'll move on to the next slide. And we're going to talk about Indonesia. So we'll move to the next one, and we're going to talk about Indonesia. This country is so wide. It's wider than the United States. And what's so awesome about this country is that there's a high season in one part of the country at any moment of the year. So that makes us very lucky for operating a liveaboard there, because we never have a downtime. When it changes to low season in Raja Ampat, we move the boat down to Komodo, and it's starting high season there. And then when it's changing into low season there, we move back up to Raja Ampat area. So we're very lucky. The diving is incredible. There's always some surprise. There's so many different things to see there. You have schooling hammerheads in the Banda Sea, the mantas and the diversity in Raja Ampat. In Komodo, you have the Komodo dragons, the strong currents, very clear water, lots of mantas and macro as well. In Lembe, we have the amazing black sand with all the macro species, and also you can do land tours to a jungle and see monkeys and even tarsiers, the smallest marsupial. So it's very, very, very cool. We're going to move on to the next slide and talk about how we get there. So Solitude Adventure is our Indonesian liveaboard. It's an aluminum catamaran, meaning it's very wide and very stable, and there's no rooms that are below the waterline. So everything is up on either the main deck or the upper deck. And we'll move to the next slide, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the boat. So it's about 118 feet long, and it's 40 feet wide. So it's just really, really wide, with a lot of open space for the lounge and the dining area. It has 6 deluxe twin share rooms, and all of these rooms are up on the upper deck. So most of them have floor to ceiling windows that are right at the foot of your bed. So when you wake up and look at your toes, beyond that is floor to ceiling windows that look out at the ocean. So it's just really incredible. On the main deck, there's a giant stateroom. It's 40 feet, it's about 30 feet wide, because it shares a part with the quad cabin. And next to the stateroom is the quad cabin. So the boat takes 18 guests. And we'll move on to the next slide, and we can see some images of the boat. I was lucky enough to be the cruise director on this boat when I first started with the company 6 years ago now. I think time flies when you're having fun. But on the bottom left, you can see the lounge. This is the lounge and the dining area are in the same room. And this is also where we do the dive briefings. We have a couple of big bean bags we throw in there as well, and everyone sits down. We put the dive map up on the TV, and we give the briefings there. As you can see up in the top left, this is one side of the dining area, which is actually on the right side of the bottom left image that's just cut out of the screen. And the kitchen is behind the TV. I don't know if you can see it, but it is a plexiglass walled kitchen, so you can see the cooks doing their stuff. You can see the dive deck up on the top right, super spacious. Everyone gets their own cubby holes. There's a big island in the middle of the dive deck for cameras and masks, computers, and all that. And down on the bottom right, we have a beautiful sun deck up on the top. where we do a barbecue and usually playing guitars and dancing and all of these things on the last night. So very, very cool. We're going to go to the next slide. So these are the rooms I was talking about, the deluxe rooms on the upper deck. As you can see, almost all of them have these floor to ceiling windows. The only exception is one of the rooms, which has the two big picture windows up in the top left, but all the rest have anywhere from 3 to 5 windows, floor to ceiling windows, where you look out and see the ocean. All the rooms have private en suites with a toilet and hot shower. And there's a desk in there as well, excuse me. We'll move to the next slide. And you can see here kind of a blown up map of Indonesia. So in Indonesia, we are running in Raja Ampat. We operate in Raja Ampat during the high season of Raja Ampat, which is around November to December until March. So it's the US winter time. We're in Raja Ampat. This is the high season and the best weather. When it comes the end of March, we start moving the boat almost 1,000 miles down through the Banda Sea west to Komodo, where we stop just before we get to Komodo. We stop in a place called Maumere in April, and we do a couple of trips in Alor. So that's really nice. And we offer a crossing trip for those who like a little bit longer trips. We offer either 12 days to 14 days trip from Raja Ampat that cruises through the Banda Sea all the way down through Alor and finishes in Maumere. Then after April, we move to Komodo, more west, and we're in Komodo during the high season of Komodo, where it's from May until the end of August, the beginning of September, where the wind is coming from the south. So most of Komodo is on the leeward side, the protected side from the wind. And we're diving there. It's a dry season. So lots of beautiful diving, lots of mantas. And we also do a couple of treks onto the islands to see the sunset, and obviously, and of course, to see the Komodo dragons as well. And after August is finished, we start going back towards Raja Ampat, and we offer another crossing trip, 12 days crossing trip that goes up Alor in through the Forgotten Islands and up into the Banda Sea. And then we stop in the Banda Sea for the month of October. We spend 3 trips in October in the Banda Sea looking for the hammerheads. It's a very famous place for schooling hammerheads. Sometimes you can see hundreds of hammerheads together. So very exciting place. It's a chain of of small volcanic islands, uninhabited volcanic islands, except for one, which is called Banda Neira, which is the main island. And just a very, very special place. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Yeah, so that's just a quick overview. You guys can see it here. So we're in Raja Ampat during the winter time, more or less. And then we're transitioning down to the Maumere Alor area, where we're in April. In Komodo, we're there in the summer. And then we're doing another transition trip where you can hit multiple destinations as we make our way to the Banda Sea. And then we go transition from there, the end of October, beginning of November, back up to Raja Ampat. So you have no excuses. Whenever you have time, all throughout the year, you can join Solitude Adventure. So we'll move on to the next slide. And just a couple photos here. Raja Ampat, you have the wobbegong sharks, lots of mantas. Top side is also really nice. You have pygmy seahorses. We're going to move to the next slide quickly, and then we're going to see Komodo, of course, the Komodo dragons, also a famous place for mantas. And you can see that bottom right, those dry islands, almost like this African savanna or something like this, where you get to trek up these mountains and see this amazing views with the coral reefs and things like that. And of course, the colors are just amazing in the diving and the reefs because of all the strong currents in Komodo. And we'll move to the next one. And we're just going to see some more photos of another destination. I was talking about the Banda Sea, famous for hammerheads. Also, another cool thing about the Banda Sea is sometimes you have reefs full of sea snakes. Literally, when you jump in the water and you're diving, you can see 50 or more. There's sea snakes swimming everywhere. So depending on how you feel about sea snakes, it's either really amazing or not so amazing. But We also do a land tour where you can see an old Dutch fort, because as some of you may know, the Banda Islands are also called the Spice Islands because of the nutmeg trade a long, long time ago. And the Dutch and the English and the Indonesians were warring over control of these islands. So we get to learn some history about that area as well. And that's in October. So we'll move to the next slide. And Momere and Alor, this place is also incredible with wall diving, reefs, there's black sand, there's amazing mackerel, there's sharks, strong currents. And this is quite like, it's not undiscovered, but it's still well off the beaten path. So to get there is really special. And we're doing it by Liveaboard in April. So we'll just keep moving on. And we're going to talk about our Solitude Lembe Resort. So situated in the north of Sulawesi Island, just on the Lembe Strait. So we're situated on the mainland side of the Lembe Strait, and looking out over that beautiful infinity pool, you can see Lembe Island out in the distance. So very comfortable place there. We're gonna keep moving on. And here we have 17 rooms. So again, not a very big resort, nice and cozy. You don't have to deal with crowds of people. We have a couple sea view villas, but the really special part is that all of the garden villas are surrounding this beautiful, calm garden. And right behind the resort is this huge coconut forest, coconut palm forest. That's just amazing. Again, full board dive and non-dive packages. And we'll move to the next slide. So when we're diving at this resort, what's special also is that we do one dive at a time. So you go out, you do a dive. It's only a couple minutes by speedboat when we're in the Lembe Strait, and then you come back, you get to strip off the wetsuit, take a hot shower, have a coffee. So it's very cool. It's almost like being on a liveaboard. So if you look up in the top left, these are the villas. So either the sea view or the garden villas have vaulted ceilings and just really spacious walk-in bathrooms. Which is very, very nice. Bottom left is this 2 sea view villas looking out from the ocean. And as we move on to the next slide, I'll show you more. We have that dedicated spa room as well in the bottom right. Of course, we have a dedicated camera room because the Lembe Strait is one of the famous places for photographers. Our resort manager, his name is Patrick Newman, and he is also a photo pro. And we also do bring in photo professionals to do workshops during the year there. You can see up in the top right, we have that dining area, all the doors open up and you look out over the Lembe Strait. And on the bottom, you can see we use those speedboats that go really fast in and out of the dive sites and come back to the resort, so you can spend your time relaxing and not sitting in a dripping wetsuit. We'll move to the next slide. And of course, some of the photos from some either guests or our manager at Lembe. We have so many different kind of octopuses, pygmy seahorses, there's nudibranchs. I could continue the list forever, but it's just an amazing place. And also they found some blue water reef diving on the backside of Lembe Island. So we're also offering 3 tank dives for people who are getting tired of black sand muck diving or want to see some blue water with coral reef and sharks and fish. That also has that in Lembe as well. So we'll move on to the next slide. And we're going to talk about Palau, our other huge and very, very famous destination. I spent a few years there working many years ago, and now it's number 2. After I moved to Indonesia, it became my number 2, but it was number 1 before that. So we'll move on to the next slide. Solitude Gaia is our liveaboard in Palau, and it operates from September until June. It's only July and August that we do our annual dry dock maintenance, but you can dive in Palau all year. It's a really, really important place. The diving is incredible. It's world class. Palau was the first country to open a shark sanctuary back in 2009. So it's a very famous place for lots of reef sharks. So you can be diving there, and we use a reef hook. There's currents, wall diving, and you hook onto the reef. It's full of reef sharks. They also have mantas and lots of other fish. There's World War II shipwrecks. So we'll move to the next slide. And you can see the boat. It was just built in 2023. Very, very beautiful. And we'll move to the next slide. I'll show you some pictures of the inside quickly. It's before that, it's 130 feet long. It takes 18 guests also. And there's even an inflatable water slide that we connect at one moment, and people can go down this gigantic water slide from the top deck, which is really, really cool. We'll go to the next slide. And you can see some images of the inside of the boat. So it's incredibly beautiful. We have staterooms on the top deck, and in the middle deck, the main deck, we have the main deck rooms. You can see the bottom right where the dining is. It's fully open with bright windows. On the bottom left is the lounge. And we'll move to the next slide. And you can see some images of the diving. Palau is very special because every month you have 2 different spawning aggregations that happen. So every month during the full moon, we have the Boha red snapper, which you can see up in the top right, that come together and aggregate in the thousands a few days before the full moon. And as we approach the full moon, they spawn every morning. So you jump into the water, you see thousands of these fish in giant balls. And then at one moment, they start swimming up together in the water column and spawning, shooting off their sperm and eggs into the water. It becomes it's incredible. And that's the full moon. And we have the new moon also every month, where bumphead parrotfish, these huge, huge emerald green parrotfish, come together in the hundreds, and they spawn as well. So it's really, really special. And we try to plan our cruises around either of those full moon or new moon every month. So if you have a chance, you should try to get there. But there's mantas, there's World War II shipwrecks. So it's just full of things to see. We'll move on to the next slide. And I don't know if we have enough time. Mallory, what do you think?
Yeah, we can run over just a few minutes. I think they'd love to see your video. So
Okay, well, we have a video for you guys. Sorry, I talked so much. Let's let Mallory play it. And thank you so much for listening. All right, guys. Thanks for dealing. Thanks for hanging in there with a choppy video. Hopefully everyone wasn't choppy. We tried our best. Mallory, thanks so much for your help there. And everyone, thanks for watching. We hope that you'll come visit us out at one of our Solitude locations. And I hope that we'll see you all at ScubaCon this weekend. Please stop by and say hi.